Welcome to another episode of the Stuck in My Room podcast. Today I'm thrilled to be joined by David Howard Thornton, better known as Art the Clown from Terrifier. How's it going, man?
I am doing as well as I can be right now. I'm stuck in my room too.
How's the quarantine life been treating you?
uh, you know, a lot of video games, a lot of movies. I've been playing it as safe as I could because, I live here in New York City. So we were like the epicenter for this for the longest time. So I've tried to be as safe as possible.
Luckily, here in Canada, well, BC specifically, we're slowly getting back to normal. I think we're in the third phase now, so things are starting to kind of lighten up.
That's good. I think we just entered third phase here in New York, but I don't know if our third phase is your third phase. So, yeah, who knows? Because I know you guys aren't even allowing us in right now, which I'm like, I don't blame you.
I'm just going to jump right into questions.
Sounds good.
All right, so you've worked as a voice actor as well as an actor for television and film. Now, how did you initially find that passion? Did you take theater in school?
I kind of did. I mean, I grew up doing a lot of theater in like oddly enough in church.
Okay.
Considering what I do now, they were like, "We can't allow you in here now." But yeah, I did a lot of church theater growing up, and I eventually graduated doing like community theater, and I think that's when I really found my niche. I was like, this feels great. I love doing this, and but oddly enough, I didn't like major in it in college. I got a degree in teaching and elementary education, and also like a minor in history. And I decided I lost my mom to cancer about 18 years ago when I was in college, and that changed my whole life perspective. And I'm like, I think what really fulfills me in life is entertaining people. So I want to pursue this as a career, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now.
And growing up, who is your biggest influence acting wise?
Oh gosh, there are a lot of those, but I would say I've always done comedy, so I would say like Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, Rowan Atkinson, and like those great silent comedians back in the day too, like Chaplin, Keaton, Marx Brothers, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've heard you're quite the Mr. Bean fan.
Oh yeah, I love Mr. Bean.
And you've done voice work for video games and TV. Do you have a favorite project you've worked on, and maybe like a memorable moment you can share?
Oh gosh, yeah. I think I've done. I would say like those video games are a lot of fun because I'm a huge gamer myself. So it was kind of weird for me. It's not really a moment I had recording, but it's like a moment afterwards when I was playing one of the games I recorded, and I had to fight myself as a boss battle, and I was like, and then I got an achievement for killing myself. I'm like, well, that's weird. So that was kind of a cool moment there for me, because it's like video game acting is totally different, especially when you got to do all the fight sounds. Because I spent one day just going in there grunting all day, and they paid me to do that. I just go in there, yeah, okay. It's like, man, this sounds weird.
What game was that?
Oh, but that one that I was thinking of where I killed myself was this horrible game. Sadly, it was called Ride to Hell Retribution.
Okay.
It gets like panned. It's like one of those games that had a lot of potential, but they just sat on it. I think they're like, okay, we just got to put this out, so they threw together whatever they had done, and it was just bad.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was like when we went. I mean, it was like 3 years after I recorded it, they released it, and so it's like, man, you had 3 years to make this thing really awesome, and it's just like, I mean, like some of like the cut scenes and everything. It's like they cut out part of the dialogue, so things made no sense whatsoever.
Oh
and I'm
no.
like, what the? This is not what we were. And then they used like some of my practice takes where I was just reading the line for the first time to myself. So I'm like, we're gonna do it. I'm like, oh, you use that? But still, that was my first experience really doing video games. So that was kind of fun in that regard. So it opened the door. So I still have a copy of that game just so I can remind myself of my humble beginnings.
Oh yeah. Do you like have like a yearly tradition where you'll put it back in and just play it for a bit?
Oh
Or
no.
no, no.
No. I have it basically just in my room. I'm like, just remember where you started.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It keeps you humble. You're like, yes,
Awesome. All right, you've also worked as the Joker on Nightwing, as well as an
Yes.
orderly on Gotham. What were those experiences like, and did you grow up as a fan of Batman?
Oh, I grew up on Batman. I even like, oddly enough, the only clown that ever scared me was this giant Mego figure I had of the Joker when I was like really little. Those things were crazy because they actually had like the cloth costumes and everything on them way back in the day. And my mom had to hide him from me because he would scare me. But I was like maybe 2 or 3 years old at the time, so I didn't know better. But now he's like my favorite character of all time. So go figure, you know. But yeah, huge Batman fan. So it was like that was a dream come true to be able to work both on both those projects. I mean, for one, it's like being able to play the Joker, that's a dream role. I mean, I would really love to play him on like one of these CW shows or something like that. Because some people said a movie would be fun. I was like, I would rather do it on a TV show
Mm-hmm.
because I would have the luxury of really taking seasons to really play with and experiment and flesh out that character than just a 2 hour movie.
For
So I
sure.
mean that's a dream. That's still a dream of mine. But Gotham was fun too because I got to be part of an official, you know, Batman universe in some capacity. My character created Solomon Grundy, so that was kind of cool. Like I figure if I can't play one of the main villains, at least I can create one of them.
Exactly. There you go. All right. I for this interview, I asked a few fans if they had any questions, so I will
Cool.
get into the Terrifier questions.
Nice.
All right. So most know you for being Art the Clown in Terrifier. Now, what was the process like auditioning for that role?
It was the most different audition I've ever done because I'm used to scripts. And this one, I did not have a script going in there, and I freaked out when I walked in the audition room because all these other actors had scripts in their hands. And this was my first time auditioning for a major film, and I was like, oh, God, no. I was sweating. They called me in the room, and I went in there meeting like, I am so sorry. I think I came in unprepared. I never got a script. Is there any way I can get one so I can go out there and just look over lines real quick and
Mm-hmm.
or whatever you need me to do? And they're like, oh no, we didn't give you a script on purpose. You don't need one because Art never talks. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So what do you want me to do then? Because I wasn't told anything. And they're like, well, just make up a scene where you decapitate a guy and you're very happy about doing it. I'm like, okay, cool. Can I have a few minutes just to ruminate and come up with something? I'm like, no, we want to see what you can do on the fly. I'm like, okay. And this is like one of those in the moments where it's very important for every actor to have some kind of training in improvisation because you never know when you might be thrown into a moment like this. And
Mm-hmm.
luckily I have that background, so I just let my brain just do whatever, and I did not realize I had this side of me, and I came up with this whole entire scene on the spot where I like cartoonishly snuck up behind my victim, knocked him out, took out a hacksaw, sawed off his head, picked it up, tasted it, didn't like the taste of it. So I take out a salt shaker and start seasoning it like that, and I start bathing in the blood a little bit, and then I just kind of skip out on my merry way, and that's what got me the part.
What drew you to the role? Were you a big horror fan growing up, like from a young age?
Well, I really wasn't because my mom was a chicken shit when it came to horror. She thought the old Vincent Price Fall of the House of Usher was the scariest movie of all time. And if you've seen that movie, no.
Yeah, yeah.
So we never really watched horror in my house, except for my dad would watch it late at night after we had all gone to bed on Sci-Fi Channel or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was late to the game. I was introduced to horror back in high school when Scream 2 came out because some of my castmates went out to see it, and this girl I had a crush on the cast invited me to go. I'm like, well, I can't say no.
Yeah.
So I went, and I was like, God, this is fun. I love this. I loved horror ever since, but I never thought I would be doing horror. I mean, I look at myself, like most horror villains are some big, huge, and muscle-bound guy, and I was like, I'm a human beanpole. If I'm in a horror movie, I'm going to be like the Randy character from Scream, where I'm like the smart ass or nerd or something like that gets killed off halfway through. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this is an unexpected journey that my life took me on. So I fully embraced it, though. It's like I've actually probably started watching a lot more horror films now because I have a whole new appreciation for the genre. Plus, I'm always looking for more inspiration as well.
Yeah. Have you seen anything noteworthy lately that you could recommend?
Yeah, oddly enough, it's not really a full-blown horror film, but it's like a lesser-known horror film. Came out in the '60s, and it's called The Comedy of Terrors. It's on Amazon Prime, I think, and it has Vincent Price, Peter Lorre, Basil Rathbone, and Boris Karloff in it. So some of the horror greats in it, but it's a comedy,
That's
but it's
cool.
also a horror film. Yeah, it is fantastic. I was cracking up the whole entire time, especially at Peter Lorre in this thing. He and like Vincent Price play off of each other so well, and I was like, it was one of those unexpected surprises.
Cool. What was it like working with Damien?
Oh, Damien's fantastic. I mean, like the guy, I don't know how he does this because, not only did he write it and he's directing it, but he also does all the practical effects himself. So he'll go days sometimes with very little sleep, if all. And it's just, I don't know how he keeps his sanity because he's the most cool, calm, reserved guy on set. We will have things going wrong with like blood pumps and stuff like that, and we're trying to fix it. So like a take that was supposed to take maybe 20 minutes to do is taking 3 hours because of all these things going on, and he's just so cool, calm, and collected about it. I'm like, I don't know how you're not losing your mind right now. And he's like, I don't know either. He's so great to work with because he's one of those directors also that knows what he wants, but he's also willing to experiment and work with his actors and come up with new concepts and ideas as well with the scene. So we'll have times where he tells me exactly what he wants me to do down to like the facial expression I make. And other times it's like, okay, now let's just play around and see what you come up with, Dave. And I'm like, cool. It's nice having that kind of relationship with a director where it's just like it's that mutual respect there, where it's like, yeah, we both respect each other's talents and instincts, and we learn how to play off of each other that way. And I think that's even more beneficial this time around because when I did Terrifier, we didn't know each other going in, so we had to learn that about each other. This time, we were collaborating from the very get-go on the script, and so he was able to write scenes around stuff I was doing. He would just flat out say, and David does his stuff. He would not even say what I'm doing in the scene. He's like, we'll just figure it out when we get on set. I'm like, fantastic. I love it.
And speaking of practical effects, that's one thing that I found very refreshing with Terrifier. I feel like nowadays CGI is so overused. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I completely agree. Especially when it comes to horror films, I think practical effects work so much better because, especially from an actor's standpoint, it gives us something actually to work with and react off of. It's like, I've seen some movies when it just comes to blood splatters and blood is supposed to be slapping someone right in the face, gushing out on them.
Yeah.
And it's CG, and you don't get the same reaction you get from actually being hit in the face with something like that. It's a different experience, where you're actually dealing with like the organs and stuff. We're whacking on something. It's just. It's very tactile in that way, and I like that, and it looks better too because you have that mental disconnect that it's one of those things you subconsciously do when you see so much CG in a film. I hate to say it, but it's like when I was seeing the new It movies, they use a lot of CG, and sometimes it would take me out of the moment where like with the old woman when she changes into that and comes after Bev in that one part. It's like that would have worked so much better if that had been a practical effect instead of a lot of CG done right there.
Yeah.
So I was like, man. But it's like, yeah, we've done very, very little CG in Terrifier 1, and it was just done to enhance certain things or just digitally remove a few little things. Like they had like when I had the gunshot at the end and I have blood trickling out of my eyeball, they just couldn't actually make blood trickle out of my eyeball, so he digitally did that. But it's those things that you just didn't notice because it was so subtle.
And your makeup process for Art the Clown, that's got to be pretty time consuming. What do you do to kind of like pass the time while you're in the chair?
I talk Damien's ear off. We joke about it all the time. He's like I think that's why he made Art silent. He's like, yeah, this actually gets David to shut up anytime I say action. Because I'm as soon as the cameras stop rolling, I'm always just yakking and cracking jokes and stuff like that. So, but, at the same time, that's how Damien and I have really gotten to know each other. Because I've spent well over 100 hours with him just in the makeup chair alone on each film. So it's just like, yeah, it's kind of fun in that regard. So that, and it goes by pretty fast, surprisingly. I mean, I'm usually in the chair for 3 hours, but it doesn't really feel like it.
So, what was your favorite scene to shoot in the film? Not specifically a kill. It can be a kill, but
Hmm.
like, what was your favorite scene to shoot in Terrifier 1?
Well, it does have kills in it, but I would say my favorite scene to film was the whole entire pizzeria scene.
That's a
That
great
whole entire
scene.
scene is it sets up everything you need to know about the character. You don't have to have a bunch of exposition or anything about his background. You see that scene, you know exactly what he's about.
Hmm.
It shows his creepy side. It shows his flat out just scary, malicious side. Also shows his like mischievous, like comedic side as well. And I was, you know, granted so many opportunities just to play around in that scene as well. And then the kill scenes were fun in that too. So it was like it was just a fun scene to do all around.
And what was your favorite kill scene? I know a lot of people say the sawing in half scene, which
Mhm.
is probably one of the most gruesome slasher moments in a
Yeah.
long time.
That was a miserable scene to film, so I'm not going to say that's my favorite kill. It's definitely like the most over the top kill in the film, but I would say my favorite kill is the decapitation of that one exterminator that comes in. It's for multiple reasons. Number one, I just think is an awesome kill. It's very well done. So it's one of my favorite decapitations I've ever seen in a film, and I'm not trying to just show favoritism. It's like because you see a lot of decapitations in films, but it's like like the ones that stick out to me are like The Omen
Yeah.
with the glass pane going across or something like that. But this one was just so brutal. It is like just popping his head back like a pest dispenser, then ripping it off, and you got a little bit of sinew still like connected and dangling off his neck, and it's funny. It was a fun scene to film too, and also why I like it is like the actor that I decapitated, he and his colleagues at Fuzz and the Lens Film, they were the two cops. Their company are the ones that started the whole entire scary clown craze back in about 2014.
Oh,
It's like
really?
I know Wrinkles the Clown claims he started it. No, they did it a year before Wrinkles the Clown. That he was the Staten Island clown that was going out and standing out in public with a clown costume on and just freaking people out. And they were filming themselves doing this all over Staten Island, freaking people out, going up on people's porches and just standing on curbs and stuff like that. They started it. So that was kind of cool that I killed the Staten Island clown in the film.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And they're also working on part two as well with us. Like Mike, the actors are AD on the film.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Speaking of Terrifier 2, I know things have probably slowed down quite a bit due to COVID. Can we still
Mhm.
expect an October release, or is it looking like it'll be pushed back?
Yeah, there's realistically, there's no way we're going to have an October release because I mean, we've basically finished principal photography, so that's the good part.
Yeah.
But we still have to do some inserts here or there, and that's hard to do right now with safety precautions and stuff like that. And then it's all got to get edited, and then we have to find distribution for it. And that's usually distribution, just ranking all that takes a few months to do anyway. So realistically, there's no way. If we didn't have the virus happen, then we could have probably gotten it out by October. But
Mhm.
we've had these 4 months right now where we haven't been able to really work on the film the way we want to. So that's really set us back. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be like in sometime early next year. It just depends how everything goes right now. I mean, I know we're not the only ones having to delay. I mean, I know they recently said they were postponing Halloween Kills until
Till,
next year.
yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, that's understandable. I can understand that, especially since they want to release in film in theaters and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if we will be able to get in theaters, especially considering the content of the film. Don't know if we can get by the rating board on that kind of stuff, but we'll see. We'll see.
Nice. And I hear Felicia Rose is involved in the new one. What's it like working with her?
Yeah, Felicia Rose and Tamara Glenn, and we also have another surprise cameo that we can't announce yet. But They were so much fun. They had little cameo roles in it, but I didn't get to work with either one personally on set. But I was there when Tamara was on set, and so but we just didn't act together. And I love her to death. She's such a sweetheart, and like Felicia is just one of my favorite people. Anyway, we do a lot of conventions together, and she just became family to all of us. So it's just like, yeah, it's just great. And I'm going to be working with Felicia later on this year on another project, so I'm excited about that too. So hopefully, then we can actually have a scene together. So that would be fun. But I mean, I understand that everybody had so much fun working with her because she's a hoot. She is one of the funniest people. Yeah, it's like her character of Angela in Sleepaway Camp is the exact opposite of how she is in real life.
Yeah, exactly. No, I've heard, I've seen a few interviews. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Oh, I adore her. She is just one of my favorite people.
That's awesome. All right, man. I got one more question for you.
Cool.
All right. Is there anything that you would like to talk about or plug that we haven't covered yet that you may have in the works?
Yeah, I mean, well, of course, there's Terrifier 2, which I'm so excited about us getting this out to everybody because I always call it T2 because I always kind of reference Terminator 2, where Terminator was great, but Terminator 2 took things to a new level. They just improved on everything from the first film, and that's kind of our approach of Terrifier 2. It's like we've taken everything everybody loved about the first film and we've amped that up. So we haven't pulled back, especially on the gore. Oh no, we have not pulled back on the gore at all. I think we've pushed a lot of envelopes, especially just you'll see it just for the first few minutes of the film. We start off boom gore, so it's crazy.
Awesome.
But so we got that. We've also addressed some of the flaws because we know we weren't a perfect film, but we've addressed especially the plot issues. People are like, "Oh, you're very light on plot." Well, we've made this more of a narrative sort of story. Is dealing with this new protagonist that we're bringing in and her journey into becoming the hero that she's supposed to be. And I think the audience is going to absolutely just fall in love with this character because she's not your typical damsel in distress type of ingenue that you see in these type of, not one of those dumb teenagers like, oh my gosh, none of that kind of stuff. She's pretty hardcore, but she's a flawed character too, which I really like about her. She comes from a flawed family background, which is really cool. So she's very relatable, I guess you could say in a lot of ways, and she's just kick ass. Her name's Lauren LeBaire, the actress that plays her, and I think everybody's gonna just fall in love with her like we have. We just adore her. But other than Terrifier 2, I'm going to be working with the Fuzz on the Lens guys on another, what we're hoping is going to be another horror franchise called Stream. And we have a lot of other individuals working in that as well from the horror industry. And I guess I can announce some of them because it's on IMDb now. It's like Jeffrey Combs is going to be playing the main antagonist in this, which is...
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah, I'm super stoked about working with him. But I'm playing one of the bad guys in it as well, and Melissa's going to be in it, and there's some other people in it as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about working on that. And then next year, I'm going to start working on a horror western called Spirit Reckoning, where I play the protagonist for once. I'm going to be playing the good guy. Well, he's kind of anti-hero. He's a cowboy that he and his family are murdered by this gang of outlaws because he stands up to them. And they hang his family in front of them, they hang him and then burn him alive. And so he's brought back from the dead by an Indian shaman, and he's basically just a skull in a body. so he's known as a skull cowboy. So he's kind of on a quest for vengeance, and it's very over the top. It's like some of the kills in this are just going to be absolutely nuts to film. I'm very excited to see where we're going with this, and we got some cool actors involved in it already. Lou Temple is going to be playing one of the main villains in it, and then Sean Patrick Flannery is going to be playing my sidekick / mentor.
Nice.
Which I'm very excited about working with him because I'm a huge Boondock Saint fan, so I'm just like, oh my god. It's exciting. It's very exciting. So I'm ready for the stupid virus to be over so I can get to work on all this fun stuff.
Yeah, man. I look forward to seeing all of that. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. It's really a pleasure because in Vancouver, we really don't have much for horror conventions.
Hmm.
We really don't. I think we have Fan Expo, but that's only good if you want to go meet maybe Chris Hemsworth or something.
Oh yeah.
But my girlfriend and I had tickets to go to Crypticon in Seattle for the first time.
Oh
This time
yeah.
around, and sadly,
Oh
due to
man.
the virus,
Dang.
we're gonna
Because I
go
was
next
there
year.
last year for it.
How was it? Is it good?
Oh, it was great. It
Yeah.
was great. But I think there was like it's funny because it was the virus this year. Because when I was there last year, so many of us got sick, and I think there was like maybe mold in that hotel that we were at last year, and
Oh no.
like so many of us just got so sick after. I'm like, oh my god, it was. I was like, if that had happened this year, I would have thought I had coronavirus last year. It was just like one of those things. It's like, oh my god, kicked my butt. But the convention itself was fantastic. I had a blast.
That's great
And
to hear.
they had a whole entire hall that was just the party hall.
Yeah,
So
I
it's like
heard
after
about
the
that.
convention
Yeah.
was over, you just went and they had different themed rooms and everything, and so you could just wander around, and it was so much fun. I loved it. I want to go back one of these days.
That'd be great.
It
I'd
was,
love
it
I'd
was
love
great.
to meet you in person. That would be awesome.
Oh, it
Um,
would be fun. It would hang out because that's what I do. I love going to the after parties at these conventions and just hanging out with the fans. It's a great way to get to know people and personally and just have fun. I know Felicia's a lot like that too. There are certain people that are like Kane Hodder's a lot like that as well. We just like to hang out with the fans and party.
that's awesome, man. And where can people find you guys online?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram under David Howard Thornton. And then right now, since the conventions aren't really going strong or anything like that for obvious reasons, I do a lot of Cameo videos. So you can find me on Cameo as well. So if you want me to do like some kind of shout out for a birthday or something like that, I charge the same as what I do for an autograph, just $30. So yeah,
Cool, man. Is there anything else you'd like to say or anything? Or
just a big thank you to everybody for supporting us, especially those that donated to our Indiegogo campaign last year because we raised over $200,000 for the film, which really helped us out because we didn't realize, with the things we're doing in this film, how much we were going to need that money.
yeah.
We've put it to very good use. So it's like we thank you very much because we've been able to do what we want to do with this film. We're going to give you guys the sequel you deserve. So thank you, thank you, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, David. It was great talking to you.
Great talking to you, man. You take care.
Yeah, you too.